Hey guys, it's Mr. Welburn. As you can tell, I'm not here today, but I left this screen recording for you, so hopefully it can still be a productive day. Let me go over what the plan for today is. First, you are going to go to assignments. You guys should all know how to get to Newsela. If you get into Newsela or for whatever reason you're not added to my class, you can ask the sub to go back and give you the class code. And the class code for government is right here, ZMU977. So if you need her to rewind this so you can see this code, there it is. But I would be shocked if you guys need to go back and look at the code. So plan for today is you're going to go to assignments once you get into Newsela. You're going to click on Judicial Branch. That's what we're talking about. You're going to get caught up to my A-Day classes. Now, guys, you are, I'm going to be straightforward and honest with you. Power School, third term, I did not count Newsela against your grade, or on your grade, I should say. Partly because we were learning some kinks about, or fixing the kinks in Newsela, and you guys were getting adjusted to it, and being, again, brutally honest, you guys didn't do very good on your quiz scores. So I chose to be kind and not count them towards your grade in third term, but they are counting in fourth term. In fact, if you guys log into Power School right now, you'll see that I added the Judicial Branch assignment in Power School. So you guys need to go to Power School, or you need to go into Newsela and do these two assignments. If they are not done by the time I get back, they're going to go in as a 0. I hate on sub days when you guys think you can just sit here and do nothing. Yes, Kale, I'm talking about you, man. So you need to read the two assignments that are here. Kale, I'm sorry for calling you out, dude. You need to read Rarely a Straightforward Task. I would read this one after I've read, sorry, this is just what I see. And just so you guys can see, I can see how long you guys take on the article, and I can see how many times you've taken a quiz on an article, and I can see your scores. So I want you to read the Judicial Branch article first, then take the quiz. Then you'll read this other article at the top, Rarely a Straightforward Task, and you will also take the quiz. And then once you're done, in fact, I'll have the sub set a 20-minute timer. That's how long you have to do these two things. If you don't finish within the 20 minutes, you can do it at the end of class after the sub has played the video, this video, because I'm going to ask the sub to pause it now so that I can, or so you guys have time to work, and then she can continue the video where I teach a little bit about the Judicial Branch. So sub, you can go ahead and pause now. Okay, so this should be after your 20 minutes. What I'd like you to do now is pull out a notebook. Guys, I promise you that some of the material that I'm about to teach you will be on a quiz about the Judicial Branch. So I've tried to make it a little easier on you guys by putting this stuff in bold. That I feel like you need to understand. So I'm going to go through this somewhat quickly. Again, if you would like the sub to pause so you can jot some of this stuff down, you can. But I don't want it to be awkward where I just sit here and wait and wait and wait. So just ask the sub to pause accordingly. But guys, you need to put this in your notes. I'm not going over this when I come into class on Thursday. You guys need to write this down. So the Judicial Branch, also known as the Supreme Court, is one of the 3 branches of government that we have in the United States. The Judicial Branch has an extraordinary power to decide the constitutionality of an act of government, whether executive, legislative, or judicial. So what makes the Judicial Branch, and guys, that's in bold, so you need to write that down, and you can paraphrase if you want. What makes that important is, and we've talked about this in class, like checks and balances or separations of power. The president, even though we make a big deal of the president, is not all powerful. Congress is not all powerful. The judicial branch is not all powerful. They share the power and they keep each other in check. That's why it's called checks and balances. So that single fact that they have the power to decide the constitutionality of an act, they interpret the Constitution. This makes the Supreme Court the final authority on the meaning of the Constitution. And literally, they're presented thousands of cases each year about the constitutionality of a certain case. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But you guys need to have this stuff in bold. So again, if the sub needs to pause, just ask him or her to pause. Okay, so how cases reach the court. I told you this earlier, there are 8,000 cases that are, sent up to the Supreme Court from the lower courts each year. Only a few hundred of those are even considered. For a case to be considered, it has to pass the rule of 4. Now notice this is in bold, so you need to have this. In fact, all of this should be in bold, so I will do that right now. The rule of 4 is when as the Supreme Court is reviewing these 8,000 cases, meaning they just look them over, if 4 of the 9 Supreme Court justices say that it's important for them, or they feel like the whole Supreme Court should review the case, then it'll make it onto the docket and they'll review the case. But if it's less than 4, that case is not even considered. So what that means is only a few hundred receive 4 votes from the 9 Supreme Court justices that it should be even considered. So the rule of 4. Okay, so there's a process for how the court operates. Notice these are in bold. So when a case is brought to the Supreme Court, it has to go through these 4 phases. So sub may pause for a moment so you can write these down, and I'm about to break them down. So the first is briefs. Briefs are written documents filled with the court before oral arguments begin. So in essence, what a brief is, guys, it's like, it says it right here, I think. It's a fat stack of papers, hundreds of pages, where it'll have all the information on a case. So let's just say it's abortion. They'll have all this information about the pros and the cons to abortions, all the statistics, all the numbers about how many women who have done it legally and illegally, how many children have been born or whatever. There will be tons of facts and information. And the 9 Supreme Court justices, you guys should have that in your note. There are 9 Supreme Court justices. The 9 Supreme Court justices will do their homework with it, called a brief, where they learn all they can about the case before it moves on to oral arguments. So briefs is just like, doing homework. So oral arguments is the next step after the brief. Normally these only last for 30 minutes. They are public sessions where lawyers make their oral arguments. Their presentations are almost always limited to 30 minutes. So the Supreme Court justices do their homework. Then they bring in these different lawyers who represent different sides. The lawyers try to add anything else that the Supreme Court justices might need to be aware of. This is where both sides are represented. And they got to be really quick and to the point because they only allow them for 30 minutes. So oral arguments is the second step. The third step is the court in conference. So the 9 Supreme Court justices will meet together in a conference where they consider the cases in which they have heard oral arguments. So they'll just meet together and they'll just talk back and forth. They also will cast a vote. And the reason, guys, that there's 9 is for a case to, for a decision to be made, at least 5 of the 9 have to agree. So they'll have a vote yes or no, or, is abortion okay or not? And if 5 of the 9 say that it's not okay, then it's ruled unconstitutional. And if 5 of the 9 say it is okay, then it's ruled as constitutional. About 1/3 of the court's decisions are unanimous, meaning that all 9 vote the same, but the other 2/3, the court is divided. And obviously, more often than not, that's the case. And part of that has to do with how the Supreme Court is set up. And I'll go over that sometime with you guys. But in essence, there's 4 Democrats and 5 Republicans, or 5 Democrats and 4 Republicans. the Supreme Court, the way it's set up is kind of interesting, but it's almost always divided. And this is just where they hash it out. They talk about the pros and cons, and they meet together. Finally, you have opinions. So this is the final step. So they do their homework, they listen to the lawyers and the cases on both sides, they meet together and they discuss what their opinions are, and then finally they come out with the opinions, which is also just a fancy way, I'll even put this here, to say results. So opinions represent the decision of the Supreme Court on a certain issue. These decisions have been flipped by the Supreme Court years after the original decision was made. So they come out and they say, here is the result or the opinion of the court on a certain case. Now, the person who does it is the Chief Justice when he's in the majority, the Chief Justice being like the oldest or more senior Supreme Court justice. But if he's in the votes in the minority, like let's say he voted no and only 2 other Supreme Court justices voted no, then obviously he's not in favor. So when that's the case, the Chief Justice is in the minority. The assignment is handled by the Senior Associate Justice on the majority side. You guys don't need to have that down. I just thought it was kind of good information to know. But yeah, that's kind of how the Supreme Court operates, guys. So now I'm going to explain to you what you guys are going to do for the rest of class today. You're going to get this started, and then you will finish it in class. So in Canvas, you'll go in class on Thursday. You're going to go to Government. You're going to go to Modules. In Modules, you'll find everything you're supposed to be doing today. You don't need to worry about the current event makeup. This is where you'll find the Newsella articles. You can watch this link if you want to. Here's the presentation that I just went over. And then finally, here's what you're going to do. So, and I'll put more instructions right here on what you need to have. But in essence, you and your group, so no more than a group of 4. You guys are already sitting in a table. My 4th period class, if you guys that sit over by my desk form a group of 6, you can't have a group of 6. Break up into a group of 3. You guys know who you are. Taylor, Brody, all you guys, Cade, you hooligans. So you'll click on Supreme Court cases. You guys need to choose one case. And you guys should not choose the same case as everybody else in the class. So you guys are going to have to figure out who's going to do what case. So you guys, maybe you can do like a first draw or first come, first serve on the whiteboard to see who's going to do what. You are going to become the expert of your case. You're going to read about it, give me the background, the ruling, and the impact. You need to have, and then you're going to make a poster on it so that you can present to the whole class what the issue was. I've got posters up in the front. I've got markers over on the counter. You guys are going to start this today, and you will finish it on Thursday. Now, I'll say this. I will be ticked if I come into class and see that you guys have a bunch of empty posters. You need to start and get going. Like, you guys know how I feel about just sitting and wasting time. So please get started on these. Again, in essence, guys, you got to have, let me say this again, you got to have at least 2 to 3 pictures. They cannot be printed. You have to draw them. Okay, I don't need kids leaving class to go print things off in the library. You can draw 2 or 3 pictures, and then you need to write down enough information that if somebody were to sit and stare at your poster for 30 seconds, they would know all there is to know about Kent versus the United States, or the Vernonia School District versus Ogden. So just give me just enough information that a person would know all of the background, the ruling, and the impact. You got to have 2 to 3 pictures. They have to be drawings. And I hope you guys have a great day of class. Hopefully this helps.